Welcome to another edition of Whiskey, Games, and Nerd Stuff. Today's whiskey is High West Double Rye. This is so good. Always enjoy the High West Double Rye. And a brief, quick conversation on The End of Average, a book that I just finished reading that I'll talk about more in depth. The End of Average, Unlocking Our Potential by Embracing What Makes Us Different by Todd Rose. Todd Rose is the author that also wrote Collective Illusions, which I've discussed in other videos. I'll go ahead and read the back real quick. Are you above average? Is your child an A student? Is your employee an introvert or an extrovert? Every day we are judged according to how close we come to or how far we deviate from the yardstick of averages. The assumption that comparative metrics like school grades, personality test results, or performance review ratings can reveal something meaningful about our potential is so ingrained in our consciousness that we seldom question it. That assumption, says Harvard's Todd Rose, is spectacularly and scientifically wrong. In The End of Average, Rose proves that no one is average. Not you, not your kids, not your employees. This isn't hollow sloganeering. It's a mathematical fact with enormous practical consequences. But while we know people learn and develop in distinctive ways, these patterns of behavior are lost in schools and businesses that have been designated around the mythical average person. The average size fits all model ignores our differences and fails to recognize talents. It's time to challenge it. Weaving science and history together with his personal experiences, Rose offers an alternative to understanding individuals through averages that will help us appreciate uniqueness and show us how to take advantage of individuality to gain an edge in life. Now, when I first look at that, I always find books that I'm kind of interested in. As you can tell from the channel, again, it's whiskey, games, and nerd stuff. The nerd stuff, I can talk about just about anything. I'll have to admit, I was a little kind of hesitant and, I don't want to say guarded, more of it kind of felt like fluff of what they were talking about, for lack of a better word. But as I started reading it, it made sense. And I think it's a lot of it when you kind of go in here and talk about how, when he compares particular examples of how particular schools, high schools, how the public education system was actually developed, universities, and how employers seek it and promote within employees. I think it was a really good book. There's definitely some sections I'm going to go back and read and talk about in further. It gave me some pause for thought, and I've already had multiple conversations with friends about some of the stuff that came in there, particularly when there's comparison in there to Costco and Walmart, and the comments that he made about how Costco was more profitable than Walmart, and then he starts talking about Taylorism, and I believe it's called averagentarianism, and just kind of just the stories in there and some of the studies and what they did. It was a really interesting book. I really enjoyed reading it. For those that are curious, again, it's the Law of Averages. He's also wrote Collective Illusions. And as you can tell, it's just a relatively short book. The first part just talks about the invention of the average, then how our world became standardized, overthrowing the average, then talks about principles of individuality, how talent is always jagged, how traits are a myth, how we often walk the road less traveled, and then goes into kind of talks about the age of individuals, when businesses commit to individuality, replacing the average in higher education, and redefining opportunity. Again, I was a little skeptical when I first read this, thinking it was kind of going to be, I don't know, all touchy-feely kind of a thing where, I don't know. It's hard to say what I was thinking when I read this. I kind of perused through this and read it really quickly, I think in a day. I'm going to go back and read it through again and dissect a couple chapters. There's some really, really cool stuff in here. I would recommend people reading this, as particularly if you are a business owner and you're looking at how you have your business set up. Definitely think it's worth reading too if you are in the education system or have kids in the education system. I really like his conversations about where he's talking about instead of having diplomas, there should be certificates of competency. I think there is a lot of value to that. Really, some really good stuff in here. I know I can't do everything justice in here when I do talk about it, but again, this is just a quick little book to read. If you've read Collective Illusions, I think you'll like this book, and I just wanted to throw it out there. And again, whiskey, games, and nerd stuff. And until next time, cheers.